So Nigeria's second quarter GDP came slightly under the water, or in the water yesterday. That's the way to put it. Slowed down to 1.50 from 1.95% earlier. That's about 0.45% difference. That's sort of been in the news. Of course, you heard the reaction from the Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning saying that the non-oil sector growth of about 2.05% was good, showing that the implementation of the policies and action lines around the ERGP is on track under the current administration. But if you look a little bit deeper, you find the manufacturing sector still just managing to survive. We haven't been able to industrialize properly, as it were. We'll have that conversation. But a bit of a burning issues around the second quarter GDP, if you look at what is in it for you as a consumer. And let's take a little bit of our commodities market. We go live now to our studios at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, downtown Lagos. We're uptown here. They are downtown, the central business district. That's where Adim Okwesa of Financial Derivatives is joining us this morning for this two-way conversation. Adim, good morning. Let's kick this off. Asking, what are the burning issues that you and your team found since yesterday in the latest second quarter GDP numbers?
Yes, good morning, Bosun. I think although these numbers are a bit 24 hours old, but GDP numbers are the most foremost burning issue. The numbers are quite, I don't know, it depends on the way you look at it. Some may see it as good, some may see it as bad. But like you said earlier, the non-oil sector grew by 2.5% from 0.3% in Q1 2018. However, if you delve into the details, if you look at the nuances of the numbers, you can see that sectors that actually drive the economy, sectors that employ the most people, that contribute the most to the economy, all flatlined or recorded negative performances. Sectors like trade, sectors like manufacturing, like you said earlier in the program. But since this is a commodities program, would focus on the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector grew by 1.19% compared to 3% in Q1 2018. That is very troubling in my opinion, because the agricultural sector has always been expanding, even in difficult times, even in recession. The agricultural sector was growing at rates of 3% and 4%. Now it's 1.13%. I think you can attribute that to a confluence of factors. The herdman pastoral conflict is really taking a toll on outputs. Some key commodities are in short supply. Number two, high logistic costs. I think there's a news story making the rounds on international and local media that 30,000 tons of cocoa stuck at the Apapa ports after yesterday. That tells you how expensive it is to transport your commodities from your manufacturing, your warehouse to the ports. A journey that will take 10 minutes now takes over 3 hours or even weeks. So it's a big problem. Secondly, we're seeing things like flooding. So it's a very troubling situation that we have here. I think what the consumers would want to know is if this trend will continue in subsequent quarters. I think Q3 were a bit safe for now. We're in the harvest period, so the agricultural sector would perform well. But in Q4, I think we'll see this herdsman pastoral conflict having a more pronounced effect on food outputs. I think that even raises concerns about food security. I think it's a big problem which the government needs to find a long-lasting solution to.
Adim, with everything you've just said in your opening comments, it looks like we're flirting with inflation going up in the next 1 or 2 months at least. If you put everything you said in a basket, from heavy flooding in a number of heavy agri states in the northern part of the country, with the deadly violence of criminal elements and those who are attacking farmers, attacking headsmen and whatever we're having in there, deadly heavy body counts, as well as folks who are fleeing the villages and farmlands for the safety of their lives. The number of IDPs increasing, even though the less of these attacks are coming from Boko Haram these days, but more among those who are making life difficult for others within those region. So if we put all of that together with the Apapa gridlock and no solution, no final solution yet, or still work in progress, it looks like we all have the right atmosphere for inflation to start heading north?
That is a very, very real possibility. Inflation is likely to trend upwards in either August or September. My opinion is that inflation would reverse its downward trend. Yes, like you rightly said, this herdsman pastoral conflict is taking a toll on food prices. We're already seeing key commodities like tomatoes, key commodities like beans in short supply. The only reason why food prices declined in July and in June is because we're in the harvest period. So there was a bit of output in Q3, but in Q4, when we move away from this harvest period, there will see a more pronounced effect on food prices. So it's a very worrying trend. However, I think the hope is that when the election period, pre-election spending should begin to kick in, should begin to increase the magnitude in subsequent weeks. The APC primaries is coming soon. I think that will have a counterbalancing effect on output. That should raise outputs. For example, politicians would want to utilize funds to galvanize the electorate. For example, they would, let's say, buy 100 bags of rice. That market woman will have money in her pocket. She'll be able to spend on commodities and pay her bills and whatnot. So I think my hope is that per-election spending will provide a big stimulus to the economy.
Yeah,
we're have a counterbalancing effect on.
Yes, Adim, we know what more money, less production in terms of reproduction leads to. That's inflation. But that means we have more money in circulation.